Picturesquely planted along the banks of the Cache-la-Poudre River, Our Lady of the Valley Parish announces the presence of Christ the King to northern Colorado. Where once thrived the lowly sugar beet, in one of the fastest growing parts of the Archdiocese of Denver, today, hearts come alive in Our Blessed Lady's company. Now, from the Rectory, here is the Windsor Catholic Report with Father Samuel Morehead.
Greetings, this is Father Sam Morehead. Welcome back to the Rectory here in Windsor. It's time for another Windsor Catholic Report, and it's good to be with you. We're entering into the Sunday of the 6th week of Ordinary Time, but a caveat on that, with Wednesday begins the holy season of Lent. So we're looking forward to a week that will see Ash Wednesday and the beginning of a sacred season of penance and renewal. And so to that point, let's give you the reminder of our services and masses to receive ashes and begin well that holy season of Lent. On Wednesday, the 18th of February, we will have a service that is not the Mass and does not include the distribution of Holy Communion, that is meant to be first thing in the morning to help people receive ashes before they go to work or school or other such things. That will be at 6:30 a.m. at the church, led by a deacon. It will have the Liturgy of the Word and the distribution of ashes before we have a blessing. Then we will have full Masses for the blessing and the distribution of ashes here at Windsor at 9 a.m., noon, and 6:30 p.m. Over in Ault at the Mission Church of St. Mary, we will have another Mass at 5:30 p.m. So lots of opportunity this week to enter well through the Mass and the distribution of ashes one way or the other into the season of Lent. But just as a reminder, Lent is a very serious matter. Pope St. Leo the Great, writing in the 300s, said Lent was of apostolic origins, that the practice of it goes back all the way to the time of the apostles of Christ themselves. And so the church has always maintained that. Furthermore, Christ gave an injunction that his disciples would fast after his departure, after his ascension back into heaven. And Holy Mother Church, in her wisdom, wants our souls to be healed and well prepared for grace. And so we take up the works of penance, which are even imposed upon us under pain of mortal sin. So let's talk about that and understand better our Catholic practices of abstinence and fasting. They're two different things, but they're closely related, and we experience them in these days. First, let's take up fasting. Fasting is eating less. That means on Ash Wednesday and on Good Friday, for all Catholics who are 18 through 59 years old, but not yet 60, unless there are health reasons, which could include pregnancy, we eat less on these 2 days. We can have one full meal, but 2 partial meals that of themselves do not add up to another meal, and no snacking between meals. So these are the most serious days of going with less food and disciplining our body through the discipline of fasting. Ash Wednesday is one of them, and Good Friday is the other. Abstinence is when we go without something, namely meat, which is the universal practice of the church. This would mean no meat or meat products. Meat is defined as the flesh or the muscle of a mammal. That doesn't include fish, and that's actually a pretty standard definition of what counts for meat. And meat byproducts don't count as meat per se. And so we go without meat on Ash Wednesday, on all the Fridays of Lent, including Good Friday. And this is a practice universally enjoined upon all Catholics for those who are 14 years old and through the end of the rest of our lives. Now, if there were some limited health reasons why one would need the protein of meat, well, that would be an exception there, but that's very rare and almost not necessary given all of our modern means of nutrition these days. But while we're talking about abstinence, a special note, because I find a lot of Catholics have not been well taught or are confused on this. Holy Mother Church enjoins us to also do a work of penance in the abstinence of meat or some other penance every Friday throughout the year that is not a solemnity. So in Lent, very strictly, we can have no meat on the Fridays of Lent. The rest of the year, we have to do something. It's not optional. The presumption is that we'll go without meat unless we find a substitution penance of our own choosing on all of the other Fridays throughout the year. So as long as we're doing something, we're doing well throughout the Fridays of Lent. Meatless, that would be great. But if we're not doing anything, if we're having meat and not doing a substitute penance, that's something we need to really investigate and check so that we're not committing a sin by avoiding the Lord's injunction to do fasting and abstinence, and avoiding the church's teachings on these matters. In all of this, we do this so that our hearts, minds, and souls can be open more to realize the presence of God, to discipline the will, to do penance for our own sins, and let the Lord work in us so that we can love Him better and love our neighbor better. So that's our penance practices for Lent and onward. But before we get there, a fun night. We're going to have this Sunday evening the next installment of my pub trivia for our young adults. Those who are in their 20s and 30s will meet in the parish hall this Sunday the 15th at 7 p.m., go to about 9 p.m. You can bring a team, join the team. There will be prizes to be had. I had a great time last time with about 60 persons, looking for even more this Sunday evening. So I'll call out to all of our 20s and 30-year-olds. If you're one, be there. If you know one, invite them. It'll be a great evening once again. And then a final word, so we can own our Catholic culture and our patrimony. This Saturday, in which many of you start watching this broadcast, is the memorial of St. Valentine. We also celebrate the saints, Cyril and Methodius, but still enrolled in the list of all of the church's saints and martyrs, we find the great St. Valentine, a martyred priest who was marrying Catholic couples in the early days of church persecution. And so, because he gave a witness by even his death to the good of Christian chaste love, we thank God for him and we call upon his intercession today. And so I wish all of you a very happy and blessed St. Valentine's Day. So we had a lot of great things. St. Valentine, we've got trivia, we've got the start of Lent. God is ever with us. He's making all things new. He's making us new. I hope you have a wonderful week in front of you filled with many graces.